A few months ago, I made a video talking about how I moved out of my parents' house with virtually no money and no job. Since then, I've gotten a lot of comments from you guys about your own struggles with wanting to move and start fresh in a different space. After a year full of experiences, I've gained a new perspective from what I've learned along the way. With this video, I invite you to listen with an open heart and mind and take what you need from my story, and hopefully it can help or encourage you along yours. This is 1 year later. Okay. Okay. I have a lot going on. Oof. I think around like 6 or 7 months ago, I posted a video titled I moved out with no plan and no job. That video was so difficult for me to actually put out because I was so afraid of being judged. It was just a very spur of the moment decision. It was a decision that I feel like some people would not make, but at the same time, it was something that I felt like I needed to do, and it was. But I did want to make an update video and tell you guys about basically my experience afterwards, because you never know how something is going to turn out until you do it. And I think I was in a space where I just wanted to try, and still am. I'm just glad I tried. That's it. Okay, so through these past few months, a lot of you have really enjoyed that video and watched that video and have left your comments and your own personal experiences. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that as well as my own experience and kind of give you some insight if you're in a position where you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to move out and you are in a similar predicament as me, or if you are just already moved out and you're trying to start this new phase. I think that this can help. After I moved out, right, it was a very emotional time. I was going through a lot at home, and honestly I felt like I just needed to be in another space that felt like I could just flourish more. I feel like the place where I grew up wasn't serving me anymore. So I just needed to leave and just start new. When you get a taste of college and freedom for probably the first time in your life, you really want to have that again. At that time also, I think I was having a lot of different insecurities about my age and what I should or should not be doing at 20 going on 21 years old. During that time, a lot of us are in college. We're moved out in a sense that we are not primarily living at home. So moving out for me felt like just the next step to take, because I just felt like I was grown, and not even necessarily that I'm grown. That's a whole conversation in itself, and I don't want to talk about that. I didn't feel like I was grown, but I felt like I had matured enough to be on my own. And I think yes and no. You're never really prepared to move out. They don't really teach this in school. They don't tell us about the essential things that you need to know when you decide to completely take ownership over yourself. It's a lot more than just making enough money to eat good, fill up your gas, and pay bills. There can be a lot of excitement taking autonomy over that, but at the same time, it can be very overwhelming. After I moved out, I moved in with my girlfriend, and we had to literally start creating our own boundaries and rules for this new space that we're moving into. We're both coming from two different households, so when you mesh two people together, even if you move in with a roommate, whoever you're moving in with, you have to learn their patterns. You have to learn their behaviors, what they like, what they don't like, what works, create systems so that the space that you're in actually works for you. And that was tough. That was really tough. So, I went through a period of time where I was trying to learn that, and then also trying to find some sort of stability within my own life. I didn't have a job, so I decided that I wanted to take my business more seriously, and I started working for myself, but I also had a part-time job. So I was kind of balancing those two things, and my business was not very consistent as far as income, because I was just starting. very, very fresh. Even a year into your business, you're still very, very fresh. It wasn't like consistent, so I couldn't feel secure in it. So I had this other job, but also this other job was not paying me a lot of money. When I got my first check, and I remember this very vividly, I cried because I just felt like, wow, like, what am I going to do? I think it just kind of set in that this would take something from me that I hadn't been used to. It was just like a whole different experience. In college, there was so many different ways that I could make money. I was making way more because there was just different ways that I could supplement my income. I didn't have to pay for housing. There was just so many different things going on. But when you're like actually on your own and you have to pay the bills and you have to do this and do that, like the pressure really did set in for me. So I started feeling really, really insecure. I started feeling really sad because one, I didn't know when I would get out of that situation. And I also felt like I didn't know how to get out of that situation. That fear and that like insecurity only pushed me to get into this kind of like mindset that was really just like, it wasn't sustainable. So I started working really, really hard in my business. Like I would work from the time I woke up until the time I went to sleep consistently. And I felt like I needed to do that in order to really just see results. And you know, things did start getting better. I was putting out good content and I started getting like higher paying clients and I was feeling really good. But at the same time, I was always burnt out, very, very moody, very irritable. It was just like not it. In my last video, I talked about how you're constantly figuring things out. That space of my life, those few months where I was trying to hustle and trying to, you know, make something work, like that was me figuring it out. And now that I can step back from that situation and let that be an experience, I feel a lot better. But in the moment, it was terrible. In all honesty, whenever you're starting like a venture or in the middle of pursuing your passion or whatever, if you don't already have like some type of safety net or something like that, it can be really hard to try to run that and also sustain yourself. Ultimately, I knew it was gonna take me some time to actually see results and be in a place where I could literally just do it full time and be independent in that way, but that wasn't going to happen for a while. So in the moment, it felt like, okay, I have to put my passions on hold in order to like basically succumb to capitalism and like do things that I didn't want to do in order to make money and survive. But at the same time, I had to like think about it in a way that would benefit me. Even after I like got the job that I have now, I was feeling like I did have to put my passions on hold. Like I wouldn't have enough time to do what I wanted. Now I had these resources and everything, like I could take care of myself and not really worry about the basics, you know, like rent, food, whatever. I still felt like that sense of like insecurity, but in reality, I just had to make the time for it. It's tough when you feel like you won't be able to make rent 1 month. It's tough when you feel like you have to miss out on things because you're just trying to save up your coins, save up your money or whatever. When I finally did get a better paying job, like I had to deal with completely different insecurities. Like now I was wondering if I was good enough to be in this space. I was heavily experiencing imposter syndrome and still am. There's this level of like financial security that I feel like I have to work hard to maintain. I feel like as I started to attain and like go up the hierarchy of needs, different problems would arise. But still, you have to learn how to adapt, because no matter what in life, like there will always be something that just doesn't feel right, or a space you don't feel comfortable in, but you have to learn how to adapt. A lot of you under that video talked about how you don't feel secure at home. Maybe you don't have a stable living situation, or the relationships that you have with your family are just not the best. And I completely understand that. A few months after I moved out, I had to have a whole conversation with my own parent about my relationship with them and how I wanted that to look moving forward. And that had to be a conversation because those behaviors that you learn when you're at home, whether it be to distance yourself or to just find some type of escape, even having to defend yourself in many situations, that transfers over to wherever you go. In this new space, I found myself doing similar things, and it wasn't healthy and conducive to this new space that I wanted to create. Even though you move out, that doesn't resolve the problem entirely. Your environment is a huge part of how you just function. We all deserve, honestly, to be in a space where we feel safe and we can flourish. I really wish that me moving out wasn't me trying to escape from something. I wish it was me just solely welcoming a new phase of my life, but it wasn't. And for a lot of people out there, and more oftentimes than not, people of color or LGBT, trans, non-binary people, the more you go down the line of oppression, moving on to another phase or transitioning is so much harder than it is for other people. Something that I'm doing now that I have to do is start healing that person who I was before I moved, that inner child that I have inside of me, and just really paying attention to the things that I felt like I needed to do to feel good in that space and readapt that to now. So if you're watching this video right now, write down exactly what you want this next phase of your life to look like, and be very, very detailed. Make it super imaginative. Think big, think broad. Let that be your reality, because it's tough. It can be really tough, but I will say it has been very rewarding. There's so much unlearning that I've been having to do, but it's okay. And we all will get to the stage where we eventually will not be in the current place that we are in right now. But see if you can take away things from this space. See if you can still find good in this space, because when you leave, that's a space that you'll never be able to return to. You'll never be able to do the things that you wish you could have done while you were still there. Okay, so fast forward to now. I am now working at a tech company. I'm in therapy, and I'm learning more about myself every day. I still have my own struggles, some that have transferred over and some that have actually healed. Please don't think that you're alone in this. Feel free to DM me on Instagram or leave your questions or comments in the comments below. Leave your questions in the comments below. I am wishing you all the best. Everything is going to be okay. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So if you're watching this video and you are like me, in a new phase of your life and trying to understand the direction that you want to go in, I'm letting you know that it's okay. It's okay not to have a plan. It's okay not to have it all together. The plan really does figure itself out, and it may not look like it many days. It may not look like it, but there will be some days when you see it coming together. And those days are the days